Hey man, today I'm gonna show you 5 small tools under $30 that I think you need in your workshop. These tools will make your woodworking life easier, safer, and just all around more awesome. Let's do it. Number 1 on the list is the DFM Small Square. This thing is very small, but it packs a ton of features into a tiny little package. Let me show you. And if you're not a fan of purple, like I am, then you can actually get this in blue, black, gray, or even tie-dye colors. So multiple colors to choose from. I'll put a link in the description below to all the tools you see in the video today. One of the main uses for such a small square is using it to square up the blade on your table saw. And the reason a small square works in this situation is it's under the teeth of the blade. So you raise your blade up and then you can put this on there and then move it to square, and the teeth don't affect it. On a lot of times on, say, a speed square or any other type of right angle square that is taller than, say, 2 or 3 inches, the teeth start affecting it because you have to make sure that the blade of the square isn't touching one of the teeth on your saw blade, because if it does, it'll throw it off. If you squared your table saw blade up with a longer square before, you know what I'm talking about. Also, if you have a small bench top bandsaw like I have, it's really great for that because there's not many squares that can fit in this tiny little space to check the square of the blade to the table. This is perfect for that. You can also use this at the drill press to check the square of your drill bits to the table all the way around. Another really cool feature of this little square is it comes with these little metal pins that drop in these holes. And it's going to help you find the center of any board up to this wide. Drop those pins in, then twist it, and then wherever it lands right there is going to be center. There's a hole in the middle that's 4 pencils. It has a small hole down in the bottom for pencil lead to go through. You just twist that and then you just mark the board. That's going to be your center mark. It also works on thinner stock as well. That's going to be center every time. Of course, a square is a square for a reason, and you can use it to check the square of your cuts if you're using smaller pieces like this or like this. You can also use it to check the face to the edge of a square of thin stock like this. And of course, you can use it on chisels to check, uh-oh, that one's out of square. You can check the blade of your chisel to see if they're square, which mine are not. You'll find a ton of uses for this tiny little square in your shop. It's durable, it's made out of solid aluminum, so even if you chunk it like I just did, it's not gonna hurt it. And you can stick it in your pocket and keep it with you at all times just in case you're at Walmart and need to know if the shelf is square. Number 2 on the list, this is the Fulton Thin Rip Jig. You can use this on your table saw, your router table, or your bandsaw. Let me show you. If you've ever had to make several thin strips on your table saw, this thing is gonna be your next best friend. If you see on the router table or the workbench where I've ripped those 1/2 or 3/4 inch wide walnut strips to cover the edge of that plywood to make it look a little better, or various other reasons you need to rip thin strips, this thing will make everything much easier. Let me show you. So it runs in a miter slot, fits most table saw miter slots. Put it behind the blade, never put it at or on the other side of the blade because that could cause kickback. So the way this works is it has a knob on top. You loosen that off and you set the fence where you want it for the first cut. Move this over until it touches your work or the wood you're cutting, and then tighten this knob down. Once you snug this knob down, it's going to snug up in the T-track or in your miter slot as well. That way it doesn't move. And then there's a roller right here on the end that rolls, helps guide the wood through the cut. And I'm going to make several cuts to show you how it works. But once you make the first cut, then you can move your fence over with the stock between the fence and the jig. And then when it bumps, lock your fence down and make your next cut. It's going to be the same every single time. So as you can see, I was able to make 7 strips that are 1/4 inch wide, exactly the same, just by moving the fence. If you've ever tried to make that 1/4 inch rip by setting the fence at a 1/4 inch and then ripping with the 1/4 inch between the blade and the fence, you know at the end of that cut it gets kind of hairy because there's only a 1/4 inch space, so you can't get a push stick in there to finish the cut. And it makes it's just too dangerous. This makes it a lot safer, and it's a really cool little jig that you can use in multiple places. This is one of those tools you'll be glad you got it when you need it, and they're so inexpensive it's well worth having it in the shop. It's extremely well made, all aluminum except for this top handle, which is plastic, but other than that, everything is metal, so it's gonna last you a very long time. I like that it has a scale on there, and I like how easy it fits or works on the table saw. I said it'll work on a router table or bandsaw. That's if you have a proper miter slot in there and not T-track. Just keep that in mind. Speaking of things under $30, go check out 731woodworks.com/store. We have a lot of build plans available for you under $30 and several bundle packages which will save you even more money bundling them together versus buying them individually. Easy to follow, step-by-step build plans to help you make awesome projects. Go check us out. Number 3 on the list, the DFM Set-Up Block. Now, I bought all of these tools. DFM doesn't even know my name. I just saw these on Amazon and thought they were fantastic. So I picked both the square and this up. Check this out. So we got our blade square earlier, remember, with the little setup square. Now we can use the setup block to actually get the height set correctly. What I love about this little block is it's really simple to use. It stands on its own and has clearly marked measurements. This is 1/8, 3/8, 5/8. The other side's 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, all the way up to 2 inches. You can use this to set the height of your blade. And the blade itself is precisely 1/4 inch thick, so you could also use it that way to set up 1/4 inch deep. 1/4, 1/4. And of course, you can also use it here at the router table to set the depth of your bits as needed, all the way from, again, 1/8 to 2 inches. You can also use it on a fixed base router to set the depth, but it does take a little extra oomph because it'll fall off the edge and not hold square. It's not really the best for this, but it will work in a pinch. DFM tools are made in the USA if you like to support USA owned and operating companies, so go check them out. I'll put a link to this in the description. Number 4 on the list, spring clamps. This is a 6-inch spring clamp from Tay Tools. You can get a 10-pack of these for less than $15 at the time of this recording, so you can get a ton of these for a low price. They actually come in several different sizes, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 9, I believe. These are the 6-inch models. What's really great about these is they actually have a really strong spring, get a good clamping pressure, and then also pivoting, non-marring jaws on the tips. And then in the jaw of them, there's little teeth. So if you had to clamp around something round like a dowel, this would work for that as well. Most of us work alone in the shop, and having an extra set of hands is always needed in a lot of situations anyway. So for instance, if I was trying to hang these drawer slides, a lot of times I like to make my mark where they're going to go, and then trying to get those in place without some type of jig or help can be difficult. These little clamps will help you get those in place, and then you can set your drawer slide in place and then attach it to the frame that you're going to be putting the drawers in. So that's going to give you a little support, an extra hand in that situation. Also, on small glue ups where you don't want to break out the big clamps or you just don't need them, you can just use these to hold your pieces in place while they dry. These are super handy for that because you can put multiples on there. They have plenty of clamping pressure for small parts like that. If I was gluing those 2 pieces up and needed just to hold those while the glue dried, perfect for that. You can also use them like a face clamp, similar to a pocket hole when you're pocket holing pieces together. Because these 2 pieces pivot, you'll be able to put those pieces together. It'll hold them flush while you drive your pocket holes. And I'm telling you, there's just so many uses for these things. We could just keep going. I keep mine here on the end of the workbench so that they're always handy, within arm's reach. But you can also clamp them on the shelf, as you see here, just anywhere that this thing will clamp to. A 10-pack of these for under $15, like, that's a no-brainer in my opinion, just to have these in the shop when you need them. They're very well made. This is a good quality plastic. It doesn't feel cheap at all. And the spring, I don't know how to explain how much pressure is there. Like, I couldn't hold this for an extended length of time just sitting here like this. My hand would get really tired because it's a really strong spring. Even putting your finger in it is uncomfortable. It doesn't like crush you, but it's uncomfortable. This is a really good set of hand clamps or spring clamps that you need to pick up in your shop. Last but certainly not least, clamping assembly squares. If you have ever tried to put 2 pieces of plywood together making a cabinet, like on the router table, or even this workbench, or building cabinets, miter stations, anything like that, and you need those 2 pieces to stay 90 degrees while you're working on them, and it won't fall over on you constantly like you see here, or you're trying to pocket hold things together and you just need them to hold at 90 degrees, free up your hands because you're by yourself. As we stated before, you just need an extra set of hands. This is what you need. And of course, they come in a variety of sizes. The 8-inch, the biggest ones, are under $15, under $20 at the time of this filming, and that's the most expensive set. You're gonna get 4 in the set. Of course, you can pick up the 6-inch, the 4-inch, or the 3-inch as well. Of course, as they get smaller, the price goes down on the sets. So how do they work? Well, they're actually really simple. They're a perfect 90-degree angle. Doesn't matter which size you get. If we were joining these two pieces together, then you would need to hold that somehow. If you listen to me and you picked up these, of course, this is the easiest, fastest way. You're gonna clamp that in place. It's gonna be there. Or you can use F-style clamps like these. But as you can see, that took a little bit longer because I'm having to wrench that down on by myself and all that. But it works. So you can use F clamps, you can use these clamps. Now this is at a perfect 90 degree. I've got pocket holes drilled on the back and I can attach these two pieces if I need to, when I need to. And if I want to go take a lunch break, this is going to be there and it's not going to move on me. While not on the list, these little F clamps are also under $30 and they're really handy to have for applications just like this. If you want to pick some of those up, I'll drop a link to these even though just kind of bonus. These are great if you're just trying to lay your piece out and make sure everything's going to fit right, kind of dry fit, or mark for mortise and tenon, mark for dowels, mark for dominoes, anything like that where you just need everything to kind of stay in place. These little clamping squares are awesome. Also, you can use them on either side and just clamp them in place like that. As inexpensive as these are and solidly made, it says glass reinforced nylon. I'm not sure what that means other than probably the material it's made out of. They're not gonna break. They're really solid. They're perfect 90s. I also like the fact that on the back, there's like a little 45 chamfer there, so you can get it all the way in that corner without anything getting in the way. And then of course, it has a little scale here on the side, 45, and all of them are perfect 90 to each other. So if you wanna mix and match them, you could do that as well. These are one of those tools you know when you see it, you're like, I gotta have me some of those, so go get them. If you like these 5 tools, you're gonna love these 5 under $30. Click that box, get you the big old virtual fist bump. Also, 5 more tools that are a little more expensive. You can click that box right there. Thanks for watching.